3 homicide cases in North Las Vegas over the last month, all still under investigation with no arrests yet, and we only heard about them today. All of them happened in the north or northeast part of the valley, the first coming on May 17th. Fox 5's Mike Allen spoke with the widow of one of the victims of these homicides.
Well, not much can prepare you for your spouse being killed in your own home. But for one North Las Vegas woman, the past few days have been especially trying because of a delay in public reporting.
My husband got shot by his brother.
Ashley Montez says an argument between her husband and his brother led to her husband's death. She showed me the holes in her home left by the 7 bullets she said were fired, and her neighbors sent this surveillance video of the suspect driving away on his motorcycle not long after doing wheelies outside the victim's North Las Vegas home in the 4 a.m. hour on Sunday.
It bothers me because I was looking for some type of news or anything about it.
What's followed since then has been the longest week of Montez's life, made even longer by the delay in publicly reporting this incident by the North Las Vegas Police Department.
There was no story on it, and there's always a story on when someone gets murdered. And I thought, well, what, he wasn't important enough?
Even Montez's neighbors noticed this delay.
If this is released publicly, the person who did this to my husband would probably already be locked up right now.
Until then, Montez continues dealing with the fallout, now as a single mom to her 2 children.
That was my husband, you know. He's gone. Me and my kids, just, I don't know. He did everything, so it's really hard.
North Las Vegas police released a statement regarding the delay in releasing information on the homicides, saying in part, quote, "There are times that we absolutely want to get information out to the media to help locate witnesses, more details about the incident, or tips from the community. Some of these cases have either been missed or the particular case did not need that response from the community because detectives were already speaking with all the neighbors, witnesses, and the individual who shot the firearm." We asked for interviews with both the department and the mayor of North Las Vegas. Both declined to speak on camera. Reporting tonight from North Las Vegas Police Headquarters, Mike Allen, Fox 5 News, local Las Vegas.
North Las Vegas police also said they have solved 9 out of 12 homicides that happened this year. They say solved in some cases mean that the department has identified a suspect, has probable cause to arrest them, and is currently still trying to find them to make an arrest.